For those of you guys wanting to see a new digital audio tape recorder repair, you're in luck. I had one sent in by a viewer. This is a Sony TCD D8 Walkman digital audio tape recorder, and it has pieces falling out of it. Well, a piece fell out of it. So this is going to be a fun one. Let's tear this one down and get it going. I shouldn't have to say this, but apparently I do, because this is the third time that this has happened where I've had someone, usually it's a viewer, that has a piece of equipment that they want to send me to look at. And I say, you know, I can take a look at it. I never guarantee that anything can be repaired, because a lot of stuff you can't get parts for. But I always try, and I tell everybody the same thing. Don't put any value on it. But it seems to fall on deaf ears, because the fellow that owns this, who will remain nameless, and I don't expect them to even reply that it's his, to save himself the embarrassment, insured a broken Walkman portable tape recorder as being worth $1,000. And as you can see, $166.77 tax was assessed. Not only that, but insuring a package ensures that you're going to pay a high price, $70.55 US, to ship this package to me here in Canada. And as I say, another $167, which I had to collect $175 Canadian over PayPal, because $175 on PayPal after PayPal takes their fees worked out to $167.20 is what it boiled down to by the time I got paid, so that I could go and pick this up and work on it. And this would have had zero. There would have been no duties, no brokerage fees or anything, had it been just sent regular post. Had it been sent by FedEx, they would have assessed the value on it, and they would have charged a broker charge and stuff and everything. And I had a fellow send me a camcorder last year, and they assessed it at $100 and charged like $47, and most of that was for the broker fee. But this one here came through the post office. But if there's a value declared, they are going to charge at the border. And if I didn't pay it, it would have been going back to him collect. So I've got the unit here. Let's open this one up and see what I received. I believe it's a portable DAT recorder that's come in this time. So let's open this thing up and see what shape this one's in. Under the paper grocery bag, there's an Amazon box. Better keep that box to send it back if it is repairable, which at this point I'm really hoping that it is, because the fellow that owns this has put a fair bit of money into this Walkman. It's a DAT Walkman, and a part fell out of it, he said. And here's the part that fell out. Let's see what happened here. Okay. A little part fell out of the chassis. I wonder where this goes and whether it can be put back in. It's probably one of the guides or something to do with the loading mechanism. I better just put this aside. I'm going to find a container to put this in so that it doesn't get lost while I'm tearing this thing down, and see if I can figure out where this went on here. So let me just find a pill container or something to put this thing in. Okay, batteries in the unit. Let's see if we can open it up. Okay, now the cassette compartment's open. I guess you'll probably take the top off this unit, and that way I can see what's going on. You guys probably noticed the lack of the microphone, because I was having some problems with the other mic getting in the way, and people were complaining that they could hear the sound of the mic rustling around. So I got rid of it for this video. Maybe we'll bring it back down the road, but for this one I got rid of it. Okay, here's the inside of this thing. I'm just looking to see if I can see. Oh, I know where that piece goes. That piece goes on this guide here. That's what holds this guide in place. See the guide? The guide's come off. That little pin is what goes through the bottom, I believe, and links it with the linkage down below. Let's just see. Let's take a look at it here. Where'd it go? It's on the bench here somewhere. There it is there. Yeah, this is the little pin. That goes in from below on this chassis to hold that guide in place. So let's just remove the batteries from this thing again. We don't need it trying to load or anything while the guide is falling off on it. I'm going to take this top off. I'm going to pull the back off it and unplug the top just so that I can get at it to work on it. And hopefully that's all that's wrong with this, is that that guide has come undone. And we can put it back together and put a bit of crazy glue on it to hold it in place. And hopefully that's all that's wrong with this thing. And then the guy that owns us will get it back working. And all that money he spent shipping it to me and paying unnecessary taxes will be worth his while. I believe this is the kit. This is the that one comes out. That's the one that we have to unfold this and feed it up through there. Okay, that part's done. Now I gotta open this up again. There should be a latch here to lift this up. There it is. Fun. I have to lift the circuit board out of here so that I can get at the bottom of the mechanism. I don't know even if this is accessible from here, but there should be a place to put that pin back in. There should be a lever that I can get at. These small units are just exceptionally difficult to work on, as you can imagine, because they're so bloody small. Oh, there's more underneath here too. Damn. Where do these all plug in? Looks like these battery leads have to come off. With any luck, the circuit board should lift out, flip out this way there. I think there's another connector on the other side. It has to come out on this thing. But it should lift out. Once I have all the screws out, and I think these screws are out here. I think it should lift out. This knob may have to come off. Yeah, that has to come out. Okay, now the board should lift out. I'm gonna probably have to take off these wires here for the battery terminals. So we'll just do that. Okay, this should lift out now. Board should fold out, I think, like that. And there's another connector here that's got to come undone. See the complexity of these things? It's just ridiculous. There's a little motor there for the drum. That's the capstan motor. We'll just undo this other connector here at the back. And undo that one. Okay, there's the full digital circuit board, complete with some surface mounted caps. I'm sure at some point, if they haven't already failed, they will. But now I have to figure out where this guide pin secures down to. I may be able to push the mechanism. I may be able to turn it by hand and bring the loading. What I'm hoping is I can bring up the arms so that I can get them out to here. Then I can push that thing back together without having to take it apart any more than I have to. Fool it into thinking that there's a tape in it and it'll try to load. Okay, the guide's going up there. Where is the lever for this one? I just have to turn the capstan motor here to make it load and unload, because as you can see, the capstan motor operates the mechanism. There is my pin right there. There is my lever right here. This is what has to connect up to this post here, and that little pin comes through from the bottom and attaches that to that. That's the job. And this is the little pin that comes up from the bottom and it links the two of them together. Me, the cheaters. That has a bigger end on one side, so it's not just going to go in there. I have to figure out where it goes in. It goes in on the bottom side, I believe. There's a gap in the... there's a gap. It should be right down here where it's going to slide in and then go on there. Just got to find where it goes. Probably got to take out this metal plate to get at it. Oh, there's where it goes. I can see right now. I can see where it goes into this track. Getting the part in there is going to be the tough part. I can see exactly where it goes. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's a... Come on, camera. Focus. Okay, it's got to go into this groove here and slide up the track, and then I can put the guide over it. So that's the fun part. It goes in from the top. It goes in like this from the top. Now, tweezers would make this easier, but I don't have a pair handy. Come along the track like that. There we go. Come along the track. Name for a song. And we'll pull this over top of it if I can. I got a slight hook on the top of this dental pick here, so I can try and hook this and pull it over top of it, and push the other piece in place while I'm doing that. Push that through there, and drop it down over top. And that's the tough part. Seeing what the hell I'm doing. You guys probably have a better view than me from where your vantage point is. That has to go over top of that pin right there. And it is. It's now over top of the pin. Cool. Now we just have to bring the guide over top of this. Press the guide down. Seat the guide on there. And now we're going to have to get something to prevent this guide from coming apart again. This is where a drop of crazy glue comes in handy. So I got to go get some. And then that should prevent that thing. I'll do the other one as well, because the other one is just, it's a recipe for disaster. If one came loose, the other one will as well. So I got to get a drop of crazy glue. We'll just put a little drop of crazy glue right on that, just to prevent that pin from dropping out again. And then hopefully that will fix this thing, and the guy that owns this thing will be doing the Toyota jump when he gets it back, because he's spent an awful lot of money on this just to get it to me. And shipping, getting it back to him will be a fraction of what it cost him to send it to me. So, but I think I'm pretty confident at this point that this is going to be a good fix. Got my tube of stupid glue. I like this stuff. It's cheap. Get it at the dollar store. 4 tubes for $1.50. They're small tubes and they're sealed, so they're always fresh. Because the problem with crazy glue is, of course, you use it, and the first time you use it, you have to open it, and then if you don't use it up right away, it doesn't last. So this one here, you crack it down, it opens the tube, and now I have fresh silly glue here, crazy glue, or its equivalent. So let's get a drop of it. I'm going to put a drop onto the end of this pick, and we'll use this to dab it onto the top of the of course I'm doing it this way because I don't want too much glue. I just want enough. So there, I got a drop on there. We'll take this drop and we're going to put it right where we need it, which is right down on here. And that'll seal that up without spreading too much, and then any excess we're going to wipe it off like that, because I don't need any excess glue getting into where it's not supposed to be, because I don't want it to actually get onto the arm or it'll glue it. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to bring the guides down a bit out of the way, and we'll put some on this other one over here on this side to prevent it from falling apart as well. Because the one came apart, the other one can also come apart. So a little drop of glue on here. There we go, we got enough on there. And then it goes down and just onto that one as well. We'll get that set up for a bit. And then I'll work the mechanism through manually. Go through all the motions on it, make sure everything loads and unloads properly. And then we'll start reassembling this unit. And, oh, I just glued my fingers together. We'll assemble the same and see if it works. Just gonna let this crazy glue here set up here for a bit. It shouldn't take that long. It is, it does dry pretty quick. I just want to make sure that it's completely dry before I reassemble it. You can see this stuff comes in four 1 milliliter or 1 gram tubes for $1.50. Yeah, sure beats the heck out of buying the name branded crazy glue, which is like $4.50 for one little tube. And as I say, you use it once and then the next time you need to use it, it's no good. Okay, we'll put the mechanism through its paces just so you can see how it threads up and unthreads. Should be noted, one of the reasons I've got background music playing in the background here is because my neighbor had their stereo cranked up while I was filming this, and my mic picked up music in the background, and I don't need to get hit with any copyright. So I've got
this won't stick as it moves.
Got some background music playing here to try and drown it out.
As you can see, the guides move up into place. And then as I continue to rotate the capstan shaft, it'll engage the pinch roller over here. Let's put the circuit board back in. It did load, so the guide post is like the guide's in place to load the tape. So let's just put the board back in place here. Notice there's a DC to DC converter on here.
And a battery to back up the real-time clock.
So on the chassis, I'll just go over the parts on here. Capstan motor, drum motor, and this is the mechanism control. Those are the three motors on here. And to say that these units are very difficult to work on is an understatement. They are almost impossible to work on. The flex cables aren't long enough. Okay, that one's in. That should lock in now. Okay, now I should be able to put this circuit board back in. Carefully put all the other connectors in place. I hear music playing. It's not coming from my place. It's one of my neighbors has got their stereo going. Oops, I think one of these contacts isn't in place yet. One of the battery contacts is not in the right place here. I'm going to put them down that side. Just got to make sure those battery contacts are in the right place. I hope that that is not too loud. I can hear it quite clearly here. Make sure all the little switches are lining up. Yeah.
As you can see, these flex cables can be a little tricky to get in because there's no slack. On something this size, there's no slack. They're a panic connector, a pain in the ass. That's what they are.
There is a trick to getting these things in. I never liked these connectors. I never will. These flex cables are just so bloody fragile. You look at them the wrong way and they're gonna break, right? Open that clip up. Oh, neighbor shut off his music. I turned it down. I don't hear it anymore. I guess that's where they do come through. It's right here. I thought maybe those wires came around the other side, but I guess not. I guess they are on this side of a bracket. Yeah, they're on that side of the bracket. Okay, gotta thread this cable back down through here. And that'll come in and plug in up onto this plug here. This is gonna be the fun one to get this one through here. Well, I guess it's not that bad. It just goes through just like that. That's pretty easy. This was folded Insert it into that connector like that. And this thing should be ready to try. Batteries. Okay, how does this open? I've had to take the top off of the again as it wasn't seemed to be working. I've got it plugged in. So I'm going to trick it into thinking that the top is on it now. Okay. When I hit the eject button here, it will try to eject it. This is the lever that operates the eject. When that snaps down, if there's a tape in place, it should try to load the tape. But I don't have a tape in here right now, so let's just grab a tape and see if I can trick the thing into loading with the top off. I have to have the ribbon cable connected, otherwise it's not going to work. So I've got it just sitting behind it here. I'd like to see if it'll try to load a tape. So grab an old DAT tape that I can try loading on this thing. Tape is down and this lock goes down, wherever it goes. It should try to load the tape. Okay, so something's sticking. Something is sticking. We have to figure out what is sticking. It means taking it apart again and working that mechanism through by hand. Wonderful. Love these things. I'm being sarcastic. I hate them because there's no way to operate this mechanism by hand without pulling that circuit board. Something is sticking as it's going through its loading cycle. It's causing the capstan motor to stick. And of course we can't make it operate without putting a tape into it or running it through by hand. So I guess let's pull the board again and see what's sticking on it. So here's the unit all apart. So you can see when I turn the capstan motor, everything seems to work smoothly. The guides are moving. You can see them moving down here. If we look on the top side, it's not like anything's sticking. The guides are moving like I expect that they're supposed to. See? You watch the guides here. There's no resistance at all. I mean, everything's working as it should. So why did it not load the tape? Interesting. Unless the actual top has to be on it. But nothing appears to be, nothing here appears to be sticking. You can see, if we look at a close-up here, this is the guide that had come off, was this one here. As you can see, it's going through its travel nicely. So there's nothing appears to be bent. If I complete this cycle, it'll lock into place. If I continue turning this little cam gear will release. If I turn it back the other way, it does unload. Gets the end of its travel, and that's as far as that gear will turn, because it's a 3/4 gear. As you can see, there's only teeth on part of the gear back here, so it only goes so far as it completes its cycle. Normally, once this completes its cycle, this will lock into place, and once it gets past the end here, it'll stop, and then it has to be kicked into place by the cam through the mechanism to do the unload cycle. That's weird. I guess it just wants to go back together again. It's just testing my patience. One of the many reasons I hated working on these things. It may have been this when I put the lid on. I may not have had it clipped in right. It has to kind of lock in. There's a couple of little tabs underneath here that it catches under first to lock it in place, and I may not have had it caught in the right tabs. That might have been what the problem was. That might have been why it wouldn't open. Keep my fingers crossed that it just wasn't under the tabs properly on the front lid. Ah, now it's opening. Excellent. Is it going to load the tape?
Wah, wah, wah. Something still not quite right. I guess I gotta take it apart again. Arrgh.
Well, that's interesting. Does not appear to be moving. Well, now it is. Let's plug this thing in and see if there's any music on this tape. I know there is. Let's just see if it'll play. I guess this is the moment of truth. This tape's got some errors at the beginning, I believe. Okay, let me try a different tape. Because that tape I've got in there's got some errors and stuff on it, I know. How do I get this tape out of here? Stop it. Let's try this tape. I think that's just my plug. Showing on both sides here. Light works on it too. It's hard to see, but if I turn out the lights in here, you should see it. I tell you, these units are not very easy to work on, that's for damn sure. Very difficult to work on because to adjust the tape path, and I'm not even putting this on a scope, I'm just kind of getting it eyeballed by ear because I don't know where the scope test points are on this thing, and the thought of having to hook up a scope to this thing while trying to run it with this cover off like this with this exposed ribbon cable, it scares the hell out of me because it's too easy to damage. I'm looking to see if there's a lock pin on that lock key on this screw. It's not that it's loose, but there could be a lock key on here. Maybe not. Oh yeah, there it is on the side. Okay. See if I can tighten that up. Got a little tiny screwdriver in there. There's on the side here, there's a little lock screw that locks the guide so it can't turn. It's right down on the side here. Maybe you'll not be able to see it on camera, but it's right down the side here. Next to the pinch roller, there's a little brass little lock screw that sticks out right on the side of the guide here that locks it. So I just tightened that up a bit so that it's not loose. Put the top on it again and we'll do another test. You know, some people think these DAT machines are actually worth a lot of money, but they're actually not worth anything these days. I've had 2 portable TAC DAT given to me, and I picked up a couple DA40s for like 20 bucks. Sure, I had to fix the DA40s, but DAT machines don't have any value. The guy that sent me this thing, he declared it as being worth $1,000, and that was kind of silly because that ended up costing him a lot of money that he shouldn't have had to spend on it. Because yeah, these are kind of neat toys, but they're obsolete technology now, and yeah, they did have the best sound quality of any of the tape formats for sure, and radio stations and recording studios used these things pretty much exclusively for years to cut pretty much every record that was made in the 1980s and 90s right up till around 2005. That's when DAT was discontinued, was 2005. And everything up to then, I mean, everything was done on DAT, and there was quite a few of these machines made. But these days, because of digital recording, you know, hard drive recording and SD recording, they're pretty much completely obsolete now, and there's just no parts or anything available for them. So you don't want to spend much money on one. And they're tough to fix. There's not too many of us that actually work on these machines. I'm one of the few that still works on DAT recorders or DAT players. Because they're hard to work on for one, and I say there's no parts available for them. And they're complicated little devices. I'm satisfied this is working.
just put the bottom on it and complete the assembly, and then I can get this one ready to ship back to where it came from. Nice thing about this one, as opposed to the one that I have the Sony TCD D8. I actually like this one only because it takes AA batteries, and mine used a special battery pack that is shot. I guess if I wanted to, I could open it up and try and repack it. Just getting the switches in the right position here. Okay, screws are all back in. Battery pack in place. Stop it. Eject. We'll try the other tapes. I got a couple tapes here. That tape was recorded in LP, but it does have dropouts. I know that. It's a very worn tape. Probably see some scratches on it if I open up the lid. Let's try a few other ones here. This is another Music Bakery tape, and I've got a couple that I can play just a couple seconds of, because if I put any more than about 4 beats of the song on that, I'll be getting hit with copyright. But I will play that tape for my own enjoyment to test it. Classic rock and the Beatles. I'm going to listen to those and verify that they play correctly. And once I've verified that these tapes, I'm going to actually listen to this tape end to end. But obviously I can't play it for you guys. Oops. And that's about all I can play of that. We'll join you when I finish listening to this. I don't know if you guys were keeping track of how long I've worked on this thing, but I picked this thing up. I had to go to the post office and pick it up and pay a ridiculous amount of taxes on it because it was declared at an incorrect value. But I started on this thing right after lunch. It was probably about 1:30 or so. I forget exactly what time. I don't know if you guys caught a shot of my watch. It's now 7:20 in the evening, and I've got it back together. To get this thing working, I had this thing, after putting the guide back in, I had this thing apart 5 times. 5 times I had to take this thing apart to get that mechanism to work properly and to get it to track, because early you heard it not tracking. It was distorted and so forth. And on these ones, there's no easy way to tweak anything because this cover's got to come off. And it's got all the buttons on it, and it won't work with them unplugged. So this was a lot of work to get this going. I don't know how long the video is going to be when I get it edited. It's certainly not going to be the amount of time that I spent on this thing, because I'm going to be cutting a lot of it out. But there was a lot of work getting this thing going. And I'm actually enjoying the playback on this. I haven't heard this tape in a while, and the sound quality off this thing is just incredible. I wish I could play this tape. I have to talk over it and keep it very, very quiet in the background so that I don't get a copyright match, but I wish I could play this because the sound quality off this tape is just incredible. Yeah, I've just been listening to this for a while here. This is from, of course, from Abbey Road, and this is probably the best sounding tape that I've ever heard of Abbey Road. And I can't say much about how I got it. It is a bootleg copy that was taken. I got to be careful what I say here. Although the fellow that I got it from has been dead for 10 years, but I knew a guy that he worked in the record business. He worked at a pressing plant, and he got his hands on a 15 IPS reel-to-reel of Abbey Road about, I guess this is going to be at least 20, 30 years ago probably now. And I remember taking my Sony DTC 75 ES over to his place, and we ripped a copy of Abbey Road off of a duplication master tape. That's what he called it. But I don't know where he got his hands on it, but he got his hands on this tape. He had a couple of them. I've got a few DAT tapes that are done the same way, because he had a bunch of stuff. I got a Steely Dan one as well, and a few others, but I don't know where the guy got them from. But I guess some of these tapes are out there. They were like safety copies that were sent out to the pressing plants back in the day when they were mastering records. Anyway, some of these tapes fell into the wrong hands and have been in the hands of collectors. And I've only ever seen one 15 IPS reel-to-reel tape. And I've seen a couple, but I've only seen one of the Beatles. And the original, this is a copy. This is a digital copy. But the original DAT tape that this one was made from, I have that DAT tape that was made right off of a master tape. And it is, the sound quality of it is just incredible. Best sound quality I've ever heard of any of the Beatles records. And this, of course, Abbey Road's got to be my favorite of the Beatles albums. I think they were at the top of their musicianship when they recorded Abbey Road. Anyway, this thing is performing flawlessly. And I'm going to continue to listen to this just to make sure that it's working good, and then we'll close the video off. Well, there it is. I've just finished listening to this entire tape, end to end. Rewind it back to the beginning. Here it's at the top of the tape. Eject. All done. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.